try to spin around and get them when it's time.
Hey, we're really live right now. Your buddy that hydro dip stuff, what's the name of his company? Taylor Hydro Dipping or something? All right, write down, Bubba. Taylor Made Hydro.
Taylor Made. I knew it was Taylor Made.
Hydrographics.
Tailor made
Okay, that's what we.
How do you say Aaron's last name? Does he know?
hydrographics. Got it.
Okay, so it's going to say Lakeland, Tennessee, even though he's in Danceville.
How does he say his last name correctly?
How does he say his last name?
Pronounce
Is it Petty?
No, it's pretty.
Is it P-R-E?
So it's Pretty.
Yeah, P-R-E-T-T-I.
Yeah.
Okay, Pretty.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thanks, Five.
That's what I thought.
All right, see you. All right, bye.
Which, hey, speaking of that, what is your title? How do you want to be introduced? Is it
Yep.
fish biologist?
Fish biologist, reservoir biologist.
For Region 1 or?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right, that's it. All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Anthony Landry.
I'm Bubba Spencer.
And I'm Keith Haywood.
Hey, we want to welcome y'all to another Tennessee Outside Facebook Live show coming to you live from the Dr. R.E. Wilhite Building here at the Hardeman County Agribusiness Center in Bolivar, Tennessee. As we always say, if you hunt and fish in Tennessee, this is a show you need to watch because we try to keep you informed of everything. And the show we got planned tonight is something that if you hadn't heard of it yet,
You're going to hear of it.
you're going to hear of it.
Yeah.
Plenty of it.
And I mean, you know, we talk about CWD so much. Well, I guess in the fish world, it may be close to it in a way.
Close to it, if not worse. Who
Yeah,
knows?
that is for sure. Hey, but Janet will be taking all your questions because this basically we're going to be talking about the Alabama bass and Asian carp tonight. So but we've got to go, we're going to talk about a couple other things real quick before we get going with our guest right here, Michael Clark. He's TWRA Region 1's fish biologist for, I guess, any body of water in Region 1, isn't it, Michael?
Reservoirs mainly.
Reservoirs mainly. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good deal. All right. Let me see. Hey, want to remind everybody, you know, we talked about last week, free fishing week. If you're 15 and under, it goes till Friday. So if you're 15 and under, you can fish without any license on that until Friday. Also, and this is a big one right here, starting tomorrow, June 14th, you need to sign up for your WMA fall and winter deer hunts.
Yeah.
And that goes through July 26th, I believe it is what I had on that. Yep, July 26th.
And I believe, Bubba, correct me if I'm wrong, will that show up on your TWA website for your quota hunts? For your quota hunt applications
Yes.
on your phone?
On the app.
On the app, that's correct.
Yep.
Yep.
Because but you can start signing up tomorrow. You know, I think about 3 weeks ago we had 2 or 3 people write in. When's it going to do that?
That's right.
Yeah.
It
So,
starts tomorrow.
you know, especially if you're trying to get on President's Island or something like that, you better.
Yep, you better have about 13 or 14
Yeah, I'm
points
going to
too.
be at 0.4. So
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
That's
sure
right.
do. Hey, and we talked about the turkey harvest last week, or the week before, but just going to kind of run down Region 1, which is right here where we are. There was 7,832 birds killed. Region 2, I'm telling you, the birds are in Region 2.
Yep.
You know,
Nice.
11,662. Region 3, 6,157. And Region 4, 6,150. I mean, that's pretty close right there for 3 and 4 to be like that. All right. Bubba, you got something, you got some stuff done?
Yeah. Yeah.
Keith?
Do you remember the name, or you want me to call it out, Bubba?
Go ahead.
All right,
It's-
this
it's-
is Taylor Pretty.
No,
Aaron Pretty.
I'm sorry, Aaron Pretty.
Yeah,
A-R-R.
that's his name.
Okay, Aaron Pretty, and is this the correct
Yeah.
name? Tailor Made Hydrographic.
Hydrographics.
Yeah.
Grab it here. Grab it.
Hold it in the middle. Explain, yeah.
Yeah, that's one he did.
And I hope that camera's showing is
Yeah, no
the
joke.
true graphics here,
But-
because this thing is absolutely
You know, think about
gorgeous.
you know, he does European mounts, but he also does a lot of guns.
Yes.
So, yeah, a lot of the gun stuff.
I
Yeah.
mean, this is American flag.
That's
This
the
is-
American
this is
flag.
Something that'll show up.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
It is, Miss Janet. I'm looking at it on my screen here.
You know, our buddy Alan Baker, a.k.a. Fowl, he carries a lot of his guns to Aaron for hydro dipping.
Aaron just does a super good job.
Yep. Here's the other
Got a nice facility there in Danceville.
Where'd you find these skulls at, Bubba?
I got them from the Amish over in
Did you?
McNairy County. Yeah.
Where's that look to?
That looks great. No, I can definitely
Yeah.
flag.
Yeah.
Go to your right just a
Yeah.
little bit.
And man, limited by
By the
your
way, I'm sorry,
imagination.
look at that.
They've
Look at
got
that.
those
So
hydro
nice.
dips in every possible
So if you got
Combination.
something like that, I mean, deer skull,
deer skull.
any kind of skull, for that
Yeah,
matter.
I mean, it's just something different. It really makes it pop more than just having
Yeah.
that white skull.
you know, and also guns.
Guns,
I guess
yeah.
he'd hydro dip anything.
Anything.
But it's Aaron Pretty, and
You know, I see a lot of people are dipping like the gas tanks up of motorcycles.
Yep.
You know, just
they
anything.
sure do.
You know.
But you can go to Facebook and find him at Tailor Made Hydrographics. And like I say, I think he's located in Dancyville.
Yanceyville.
Yeah.
I might check that out.
If you look it up on Facebook, I heard it might still say Lakeland, where he used to live, but he is in Dancyville right now. Is where he's doing that. All right, was there something else we was going to cover before we start talking to Michael? If it was, I didn't
Well,
write
we
it
just
down.
need to go over our sponsors.
Yeah, beside
I
that,
think
yeah.
that's it.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Give a quick shout
Yeah,
out. to
absolutely.
everybody.
All right, we have Apex Outdoor Rewards. That's our premier sponsor. Deception Scents, Baker Glass Shop, Second Amendment Outdoors, Big Hill Pond Boat Sales and Repair, Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. We have Lynnhurst Family Resort, Prym1 Camo, Threeway Processing, Wildlife Addiction Food Plot Services, and as always, a shout out to Brian Harford and the Crappie Addicts Facebook page.
Hey, and with Apex Competitions or Outdoor Rewards, they're a premier sponsor. I talked to J.D. Hands the other day. I kind of think they got something coming up. They're going to cut the entry fee, but you're still going to be able to get the camera as long as you know first time in it. They're going
On the deer?
on the whitetail challenge. You know they knocked it off $50. You know on the
turkey.
on the turkeys,
Uh-huh.
but I think they're going to reduce it on the deer too. And
I'm gonna give C-Jack a run for his money this year.
and I'll tell you what.
I know what you got.
Yeah, but I know what you got too. So, but that'll be coming up, and then whenever they finalize everything, when I talk to them, Bubba, they're gonna come on the show.
Okay.
Him or Wade one and talk about everything on that. Hey, I also want to give a shout out to our Facebook groups, Tennessee Deer Hunters, and I say it every week, folks. If you're gonna try to sign up, if you don't answer the questions, you're not gonna be able to join the page. I mean, we're about 72,000 and growing right now. And right now, anybody that's watching, we go live on Tennessee Deer Hunters. This show is live on it. West TN Deer Hunters and several individuals' pages.
Yes.
You know, we're going live too. And then we share it to all these groups we're fixing to call off right here. But like I say, Tennessee Deer Hunters, that's one West Stone started several years ago. Facebook shut us down, and but we was able to get, probably off close to a year, and then was able to get back going. And I tell you what, it was a depressing deer season last year without it, because that is one of the premier pages on Facebook. And then West TN Deer Hunters, Tim Hart's page, Tennessee Woods and Waters, Tennessee Turkey Hunters, Tennessee Bow Hunters, Tennessee Valley Sportsmen, Real West Tennessee Sportsmen, East Tennessee Deer Hunters, Tennessee Rivers and Lakes, Bow Hunters of America, our biggest group, over 230,000 members. True Hunters and Anglers, Rob Pechort down in Mississippi, Southern Boys 870, Hunting for Connections out of Wisconsin, Tennessee Outdoor Info, Tennessee Hunting and Fishing Report, Hunt Swaps of America, Tennessee Outdoors and Hunting, Tennessee Small Game Hunting and Fishing, and Middle Tennessee Coyote Hunters.
Okay, we have Kentucky Whitetail Hunters. That was established August of 2015. West Kentucky Deer Hunters, Do a Country Jig. I love that one. I just love saying that one. Pickwick Lake Anglers, Crappie Cats, Bass, and More, Gamekeepers and Food Plots, Pickwick Lake Fishing Reports, Turkey South, Backwood Hunting and Fishing, Wildlife Hunter Association, Whitetail Snipers, Furs and Feathers, Camo Thug Outdoors, Blumpville, Tennessee Deer Hunters, Back to the Roots Outdoors, Down to Earth Hunting, Tennessee Turkey Hunters, and Hatchie River Fishing the Bait Poles.
Yeah. Hey, I want to give a shout out to Billy Bates too, with Do a Country Jig. He contacted me, and Bob and I, we all talked about it. He wanted to put the Tennessee outside logo on his jerseys he's making.
Awesome.
So you'll be seeing our logo on his jerseys too. All right, Bubba, was that it?
That's it. That's all we got.
Okay. All right, like I said, our guest tonight is Mr. Michael Clark, Region 1 Fisheries Biologist, and we're going to talk about the Alabama bass. So, Michael, just what is the Alabama bass, and then
Yeah, what's it called?
yeah,
in
and
the
then we'll go
waters?
into why there's some bad news coming down the pipe on it.
So Alabama bass is its own standalone bass species, but what it does when it gets into a reservoir or body of water, it will hybridize with the spotted bass and potentially outcompete the native smallmouth bass in that same body of water. It takes to the spotted bass very well as far as a reproductive partner, and once you get that hybrid cross there, the competition level really increases.
And they'll also hybridize with the smallmouth itself.
Yes.
Okay.
And what about the mean-mouth bass? Will it hybridize with it, or is there any?
Yeah, well, yeah, we have already detected some triple hybrid fish where it was part smallmouth, part spotted, part Alabama.
Okay, but as of right now, it hasn't crossed with any largemouth that's known at this time.
None that we've heard of, no.
Okay, all right.
Now where is most of this hybridization taking place?
Well, it's really entered our state over in Region 4 into Parksville Reservoir, and some natural migration up and downstream has occurred, but
That's on the Tennessee River over in East Tennessee.
yes, sir.
Okay.
And but now there have been witness confirmations of angler movement of fish over there. So some of the anglers are taking it upon themselves to relocate some of these fish, and they're putting them in certain reservoirs that basically there was no way for them to get there other than angler introduction. We've got some of the best smallmouth fishing reservoirs over on the Cumberland Plateau in Region 3, and we're definitely trying to get the word out for them to not be put in there.
Yeah.
Because we don't want anything detrimental to happen to those awesome smallmouth fisheries over there at Dale Hollow.
So what's so detrimental happens when they do hybridize? What's the big deal about it?
They pretty much outcompete smallmouth.
Okay.
And it can happen depending upon reservoir size. It can happen in a fairly short time frame.
Are they more aggressive?
They tend to be more aggressive, but as with most anything, once you start hybridization, you start getting an inferior product, as it goes down the cross generations and everything.
And one of the things that makes it inferior, and this is the part that is bad for bass fishermen, is the size starts decreasing.
Yep.
And it sort of gets to that sweet spot that's that 2 to 3 pounds that it sort of likes to stay at. Is that
Yep.
a fair statement?
Yeah, the reservoirs that have had them for a longer amount of time, that's exactly what their end result is.
And what you were talking about them, people taking and moving the reservoirs, in case somebody don't know, that is illegal to catch a fish in one place and carry it and stock it in public waters. Now, I catch crappie all the time out of public waters, but I carry them to my own personal lake. That's perfectly legal. But you're not allowed to stock that in any public waters. And it's all for reasons. You think you might be doing good for something, but in the long run, just as in CWD, it's bad.
Absolutely.
And this was a question that came in right here about any changes in the meat, and the meat seems to be perfectly fine. It's just a smaller bass.
Yeah.
Right.
But when you was talking about the meat, that's brought up something you said in our pre-show meeting. We have a small percentage of people that are of the bass caught that are actually being eaten.
Yes, we have creel survey or creel clerks that go out 5 days a week and collect angler data from anglers that are out on the water actively fishing, and it's like a 0.04% of the bass that are caught are actually harvested. So
The rest are just put right back in the water.
yeah, it's a catch and release type
That's
fishing.
almost less than,
That's
1 out of 100 really,
Yeah.
less than that. Yeah.
or 1 out of 200 basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Yeah, you'd have thought it'd been more than that
Yeah, you would have.
That's kind of become the common. That's just the
for bass.
For bass, yes,
You
you're
know,
right.
release and-
I mean,
Yep.
especially you got all your tournament fishermen.
Yeah, all
and
that.
I mean, but now just the people go fish from the bank that fish sloughs, a lot of state lakes. That's when they're fishing from a bank, they're fishing to carry something home to eat.
Well,
And bass is a
little
good
more.
fish.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
love it.
Nothing wrong with a bass fillet. I have filleted many of them. I can tell you that.
So what can we do to help fight this Alabama bass? Of course, number one, don't be moving fish.
Yeah, that's
the biggie, I guess.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
Really, just be cautious of the hybrids that are out there. There's a little bit of a concern about identification of some of these hybrids and the way that they look. We've done some as an agency as a whole. We've done some studies that show we ourselves are not very accurate at determining species identification when we see it visually, and then we send it off for genetics.
And it comes back and it's like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, and so really, if you get one of these mudfish, I guess,
Yeah.
as you referred to them earlier, other than a genetic testing profile, you really don't know exactly what it is.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
And so, of course, as a former law officer myself, eventually then it'll come to where if it takes a genetic test to identify it, they'll have to basically just be kind of a generic one-fits-all size, for size limits.
Yeah, we'll probably have that management issue sooner rather than later.
So like you said in the pre-show, it may just be, right now you got, different limits and lengths and everything for every kind of different bass, smallmouth, largemouth. It may be, like you said, just black bass, period, X number a day. Might not even be any size limit on them.
That's true. It'll still be per reservoir. We have specific regulations on our larger reservoirs and stuff, and they vary from reservoir to reservoir as you go. So it might be a little different from one to another, but yeah, it would be a generalized black bass regulation probably.
Well, I know their own Chickamauga, everybody calls it the Chick, but they are in that area.
Yes. As a matter of fact, the genetic testing that we've done thus far on Pickwick, there is an abundant presence of the genes there. Now, we haven't collected any pure Alabamas there, but we have actually collected some of those triple hybrid smallmouth spotted Alabamas, and we've had some that were just Alabama spots. But
So you could have an Alabama spotted, or you could have the triple the Alabama spotted smallmouth.
or you could have a smallmouth Alabama as well.
Smallmouth Alabama.
So over in East Tennessee, where they have like the Coosa bass and all that, they've actually had the Coosa interjected into some of their triple hybrids and things like that. So it's a mess.
So the Coosa bass, it can hybridize with them too.
Absolutely.
So if it ever does cross over and hybridize with a largemouth, it's game over just about.
It'll definitely change the game in bass fishing.
Yeah. So if anybody's got any questions on that, because or in your opinion, when do you think we might see regulation change come down where it's just your opinion? I mean, nobody knows, but
Yeah, it would really be hard to tell. I think regions 3 and 4 would be at the forefront of those regulation changes because they're at the forefront of the actual Alabama bass entry point there. But yeah, they may be facing something within the next 5 years. I don't know.
Did you know how far up the eastern states it goes? I know it goes up to West Virginia and pretty much all of them down below that.
Yeah, one of the states that we've talked about in our biologist meetings and stuff has been North Carolina, because they're in Lake Norman and they've seen the detrimental effects there as well. And again, like you said, in West Virginia and other states along that sort of eastern seaboard. But yeah, it's something that we're seeing there, but it's also migrating our way too.
I mean, it's not good. I mean, any way it goes.
Yeah.
But I guess the only good thing, if you could say a good thing, as of now, largemouth is still kind of
It's being
Not
separated,
involved.
Yeah.
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 okay. All right. anything else on Alabama bass? Because when I guess my next question is kind of going a little different
Okay,
way.
yeah. This year, the agency as a whole initiated a genetic testing sample on all Tennessee River system reservoirs. So any spotted bass that we collected in our collections, any smallmouth or any hybrids that we saw in our work out on the water, we took genetic fin clips from each of those, and we're waiting to get a total so we can sort of box everything up in one big package and send it off to our testing facility at Auburn University. But that has began this year and will continue for an unknown amount of time. Just in the reservoirs that are over here that I oversee, Pickwick, we also did Barkley as well, because there was some small detections in the Cheatham Reservoir area. So we collected almost 400 genetic fin clips this spring.
Okay, do y'all go out and do the shocking?
Yeah.
That's how you're getting all of them pretty
Yes,
much?
Yeah. Every spring and every fall we have our what we call our standard fish collections and sport fish. And the spring we primarily focus on bass. Fall we primarily focus on crappie, but both times we're out there, spring and fall, we'll dip any bass, crappie, red ear, bluegill, and now because of the carp issues and stuff that we've had since around 2015, for sure, in the fall we also focus on gizzard shad because they share the same food source, and we're assuming that if there's going to be any start of a negative impact on another species, it should start at the gizzard shad level.
Okay.
So were we looking at the negative impact mainly being just the size of the bass? Is that where the biggest impact is?
That, and then if you get enough of a competition on your pure smallmouth, like Pickwick, it's still known for a good smallmouth population.
Right.
And we saw some really, really nice smallmouth come out of there this spring. But yeah, we just don't want that to go away because of this Alabama bass.
And of course, I know there's a big kind of fear of that getting in Dale Hollow. Dale Hollow is
absolutely.
where the world record is, and I mean, of course, I know Tennessee and Kentucky both kind of claim it, but
yeah.
I mean, with it being a major smallmouth fishery, I mean, it would really be detrimental in Dale Hollow, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the biggest fears overall as an agency is that it not get in there.
So, in your opinion, do you think the only way it would get in there is human transportation carrying it there pretty much?
It's definitely the most likely way, for sure. But I know the Region 3 and 4 guys are over there getting public service announcements out, encouraging their anglers over there to not do that.
Yeah. And
try to discourage it and try to explain to everybody that's involved in this the issues and the detrimental effects that it can have.
And I'm just asking this, why would somebody want to move an Alabama bass if they know that? Is it because they don't know that and they think it looks cool and they just want to?
Be my guess.
Yeah, probably most of it would be the ignorance factor. Some of it could be them just trying to make their own little impact on a resource, which again is not a very smart thing to do.
And it's not legal either.
No.
Or just not knowing any better.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
That's probably the.
Yeah, because most times,
Or maybe just not realize the impacts it could have downstream.
Or a lot of Bubba deals with, they don't have a clue it's not legal. How many people you ever wrote a ticket, Bubba, and they say, "Well, I didn't know that."
I didn't know that. Yeah.
And of course, that's exactly why this is put out every year.
Sometimes the number of people that are fishing that can't tell me the difference between a crappie and a Prym are just amazing.
Yeah, I know.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
Just have no idea. That's a shiny fish.
They're just fish.
Well, I mean, to a lot of people, a fish is just a fish.
A fish is a
so
fish.
if it bites, they're going to throw it in that bucket, and then they're going to eat it one at a time.
But, going back to seeing it, that's the one thing on this hybridization. Even someone trained like Michael, you can't look at a fish and tell what its genetic makeup is.
No.
Yeah. You can think it could be a smallmouth, and it may or may not, or maybe part smallmouth, or
Yeah.
Because I could see that's where the size limit, smallmouths are normally, smaller limit than largemouth, but, and then you throw spots in the equation, you may only have you know, 2 spots or 2 smallmouth, and now you got something else, and
Yeah.
you ain't got a clue what it is.
Well, yeah, it's just a bass-looking creature.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no joke. All right, another thing is, all right, a lot of people, and I see it on Facebook a lot, when are you going to put Florida strains and Florida F1s
Yeah.
in Pickwick Lake? Well, we got some news on that, don't we?
Yeah, we do. About 3 weeks ago, the state of Mississippi stocked 90,000 fingerlings in Pickwick, in their section of Pickwick Reservoir, and we followed suit this week. On Monday, we stocked 20,000 fingerling Florida largemouth
Where'd y'all
bass.
stock them out of?
The main stocking site was the Pickwick Landing State Park, the big ramp there. But we did have 4 high school bass fishing team boats there, and we put approximately 500 fingerlings in each of those, and sent them to the other different embayments away from the park area there, and stocked those.
And we talked about in the pre-show, that was a feeding frenzy, as anybody would think about. But what kind of surprised me, which it really didn't, but you said out of those 110,000, you know, I mean,
5%.
at 5%, you know,
Survival.
it's not a lot.
That's not a lot.
And that's a survival to what, adulthood, or?
Yeah, our survival rate is basically to a legal size.
To a legal size.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, but that's why you have to stock so many just to get that.
Right. But our stockings are not done to try to increase a population as far as numbers. And it's not even, we're not doing the Florida bass stockings for that reason either. The main reason and the main punch that we're trying to get out of stocking the Florida bass
It's a long-term punch.
is, yeah, and it is a long-term punch, is the genetic shift in the Florida bass genes being more prevalent in whatever body of water we're stocking.
And the reason you want that
Yeah.
is what?
Well, so the big boom on the Florida bass is the F1 hybrid. That's where a pure northern largemouth and a pure Florida largemouth reproduce, and that is the F1 generation of those fish. And that F1 generation is it has more vigor. It grows faster as the fish ages. It tends to grow faster than a pure northern, and it has the aggressiveness level that's increased as well. But
So it's better for the fight for the angler,
Sure.
and they grow quicker to get to that good fight.
yes, and Chickamauga is the prime example
Yes.
of a success story there. The town of Dayton and that whole community over there.
And anybody that bass fishes knows about Chickamauga.
Absolutely. They have really benefited from the Florida bass stockings. And again, we've got our own stocking program over here on Kentucky Reservoir. We've had it for over 5 years now. We were trying to keep it small. It was just going to be a 3 embayment stocking process where we put around 50,000 fingerlings in each of those 3 embayments that we chose. And we have a 10-year study plan that we were going to go back and take fin clips on certain size fish in certain year intervals and see the allele shift or no allele shift, and that was going to tell us whether or not we kill the program and just, be done with it and walk away, or maybe expand it or whatever.
Seem like as in most stocking, time will tell.
Yes,
If
always.
it's going to be worth it, or if we're just going to be the same fish after so many years without it, I wonder.
So for the Kentucky Lake stocking, and for a lot of people don't know, once the water goes over the dam at Pickwick Dam, that's Kentucky Lake.
Right.
Or
So
go through the
yeah,
dam.
right. So that's basically around 1.6 million. Florida strain that's been stocked in there. I think it was 2 at 500,000, 2 at 300,000.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about the private stockings.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. For the last 4 years now, there has been a private stocking take place on Kentucky Lake, and the county commissions are usually the ones that pay for the fish, and those counties those embayments in those counties are the embayments that get stocked.
Okay. So now maybe folks at Pickwick Lake, they're happy that they're getting something stocked.
Yeah, the overall attitude of it is pleased. Everybody's pleased thus far. Time will tell.
Yeah, I think so, because after we go from the F1, which would be the first cross, then
Right.
you get to F2 and every combination thereof. Does it lose a little of that punch that it originally had on that F1?
Unfortunately, every hybrid that comes after that's going to be a little weaker.
Not quite as
Yes,
But
losing that
will
hybrid
they at
vigor.
least be stronger than the pure northern?
for probably a couple of back crosses, yeah, but eventually,
And after that, then they'll just go back to being the same vigor
You know,
as
it,
the
it reminds me.
or
of-
maybe worse.
It reminds
Really?
me.
Potentially.
They say if you take a deer in Iowa and you put it in Pocahontas, in 20 generations it's going to be a Pocahontas deer.
That's
You take a
exactly right.
Pocahontas deer and put it in Iowa, in 20 generations it's going to be a different deer.
It'll be an Iowa deer.
And so, irregardless of what you do, you eventually, over time, my point being, the environment will probably determine what some of that is in the long run.
Age-wise, and because this I don't know, will a Florida strain, like the life expectancy of a Florida strain, is it longer than the northern?
No,
Same.
yeah.
What is it about?
Average lifespan is somewhere around 4 to 5 years, and of course,
Now, will they feed more, or they just more? Will they feed more in general?
the Florida bass.
Right.
Since they grow faster,
Faster.
are they eating?
Yeah,
Because
they're an more aggressive
okay.
fish.
More aggressive eater.
Yeah, but we do age growth studies about every 5 years on our reservoirs, and it works out to you'll have some shortly or a little bit quicker, faster growing fish that'll be 3 years old that'll get to a legal limit, but most of them are 4.
Okay.
All right. Hey, we got to take a big break right now. Apex Outdoor Rewards, our premier sponsors. I think turkey season is probably over everywhere in the United States, isn't it? Pretty
I think
close.
so. Yeah.
It may be some northern states it's still going on, but
Yeah, I think it's all over by about.
yeah,
May,
I
maybe,
mean, so
unless
I know
it's-
that, if they hadn't already, I know they're going to start giving out their rewards for the Spring Turkey Challenge. But I'm not going to read the states it was in, but it was a bunch of them. But like I say, JD, they're going to come on because they are going to do the Whitetail Challenge this year. They did cut the price on it. But you can go to apexoutdoorrewards.com to sign up. And I know they're going to do a thing with the deer that the earlier you sign up, the cheaper it is. I think that's what it was. And then they're going to do weekly prizes, and their prizes are good,
Yeah.
the ones that they're giving away. Deception Scent, they're one of our top good sponsors too, but they have a complete line of scent eliminating products. We've got 2 up here, the Pure Marine, Deception Scent. We hear on a weekly basis about some of the things this stuff does, from spraying down furniture to dogs sprayed with skunks. You pretty much name it.
Absolutely. Vehicles.
Yes.
It's a lot more functional than just spraying a coat.
That's exactly right. But Parrish is still working on custom turkey calls. I don't even know if he's got them all done, because once he started doing the custom, those orders started coming in quick. You got some of them. I got some of them. Of course, he made one for the Tennessee Outside crew, and then we gave one of them away also for that. But Bill Dance endorses the Pure Marine. If you watch a Bill Dance show, you're going to see the Pure Marine ad. Amazon sells it. Walmart sells it. You can go to deceptionoutdoorgroup.com, and you can buy any of their products on there also. Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, you can go to www.tmwildlife.org for information, and be sure to follow TWRA on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Threeway Processing, like I say, we talked to David last week in our pre-show meeting. He is still looking for some spots in Madison, Gibson, Haywood, or Crockett County, but he's hoping that he's got something nailed down in Madison County, because we've talked about it every show.
That's right.
If old David don't open that, deer season is going to be sad around West Tennessee.
Yeah. And not like we always say, we have some really good processors around
yes.
West Tennessee, but it's not about the processing so much there as the numbers that can be accepted.
And that's exactly the whole deal right there. Because if you don't have a place to take it, a lot of people, the older you get, it's like, well, I'm not going to shoot it because I ain't got nowhere to get it
right.
processed.
That's right.
Because every year it's 2 or 3 days there that, everybody, they ain't got no room.
They're full.
I can remember David going Facebook Live. All right, I can take 32 today, and then within 5 minutes, they're already in the parking lot.
That's right.
You know, waiting on him to make that announcement.
That's right.
So, like I say, we hope he can do that. And when he does nail it down, David's going to come on the show and talk to us about it.
Yeah.
All right, Keith.
All right, we have Baker Glass Shop. Stop by and see Corey Madden for all your glass needs. Auto, big trucks, heavy machinery. Contact Corey at 731-658-4510. That's at 321 East Market Street here in Bolivar, Tennessee.
He just put a new one in my
Did he?
Ford truck 2 or 3 weeks ago. He sure did.
We have, give Corey a call. We have Second Amendment Outdoors, your one-stop shopping for all your outdoor needs. Guns, ammo, fishing tackle, clothes, boots, and much more. Mark Austin and his great staff will take good care of you. Contact Mark at 662-594-8687, and he is located at 2804A Highway 72 West in Corinth, Mississippi. We have Big Hill Pond Boat Sales and Repair. See Kenny Fortune for all your boating needs, sales or repair. He also has firearms and fishing tackle. Contact Kenny at 731-645-4384, and he is located at 9282 Highway 57 in Raymer, Tennessee.
Bubba, you was down there today, wasn't you?
Yes, I was. Kenny took care of me as always.
Yep, he always does. I guess he finally got everybody's spring run boats ready to go.
You know, Kenny keeps in touch with you. He gets back with you quickly, and
that means so
and
much.
man, he is so much faster than just about anywhere else.
Yeah, he's always took care of us. I know that
always.
for a fact.
All right, we have Lynnhurst Family Resort. The Lynnhurst is located on the Blood River in inland of Kentucky Lake. You can stay in one of their cabins, condos, in the motel, or at one of their campsites. They also have pontoons, jet skis, and golf cart rentals. Book by calling Dennis Helmuth at 270-436-2345 or 606-341-3399. And I believe that it still holds true that if you called a book at Lynnhurst Family Resort and you mentioned that you heard about them on the Tennessee Outside Show, you get a 10% discount.
Yep.
And I believe they're still offering discounts for boat rentals during the week.
Yep,
that's
right.
correct. So give them a call. We have Prym1 Camo, the ultimate concealment solutions for the outdoorsman and woman that need to blend into their surroundings. Go to prym1camo.com and check out all their products. Their 20% off code is HERO1. We have Wildlife Addiction Food Plot Services. That's myself. 731-780-4868 or 731-780-6426. And we're a food plot service. We offer a full line of food plot services, whether it be, we can do anything from clipping, spraying, fertilizing, to full turnkey food plots. Any seed blend you're looking for, we can do farm consult work. We're getting ready to go visit a gentleman up around Middle Tennessee and do a farm consult. He's a viewer. I mean, we're actually going up there. They've been having some trouble with some stuff growing, so we're gonna carry some sample seed up there and do some tests and see.
But if you can't get it growing, it's not going to grow.
That's right. That's
Sure
exactly
is.
right. Getting ready to start doing some corn and finally caught up. Now I need rain. Well, I fussed about too much rain.
I tell you, my Drake
And
Lake
now I
has
need it
dropped
bad.
8 inches in the last week.
Yeah.
It sure has. All right, is that it?
That is it. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, let's go right into the next hot
Yep.
fishery, hot potato, the asiancarp.
And that's been a hot potato for several years.
Yeah.
So what is the latest on
Yeah.
Asian carp?
So overall, on Kentucky and Barkley Lakes in particular, we're not seeing near as many of the silver carp. You know, they're the ones that jump out of the water when they have boat agitation issues, and of course they really jump with our boats because we're putting electricity in the water trying to collect fish by electrofishing. And so this spring we saw a greatly lesser number of those carp in Kentucky and Barkley reservoirs. Not to say that they're not there, but they just weren't where they normally are at that time of the year when we're out there doing our sampling. One of the biggest things that we've got going in our favor right now is called the T-CHIP program. It's the Tennessee Carp Harvest Incentive Program. It was initiated in late 2018, where we pay a subsidy to both the commercial fishermen that sign up into the program and also the fish markets that sign up into the program, and they jointly do business with us and with each other. And so far, from 2018 to now, we've paid for over 24 million pounds of carp to be caught out of Kentucky and Barkley reservoirs.
I wonder,
That's a lot of fish.
any idea how many Kentucky's paid out?
I don't have a number on Kentucky's
I think
program.
it was more.
It was more,
it
but
was
I think
more.
we may have surpassed them
Okay,
now.
okay.
They got started on their program a little bit earlier
Right,
than we
yeah.
did, but their program is still active as well. So they're millions of pounds removed as well.
Okay. Another thing that we talked about in pre-show, because, you know, Bubba and I, we had Tim Broadbent on it when we did the show in Lexington up there, but, you know, and he had talked about that in Tennessee waters there had only been 2 documented spawnings of Asian carp. And the last one was 2015, I believe?
Yes.
Okay, so that's still documented that there hasn't been a spawn of Asian carp in Tennessee for last 8 years, basically.
That's correct.
But they spawn in the Mississippi.
Right, in the Ohio.
Yeah,
every year.
Yeah, the Mississippi and Ohio rivers have successful reproduction every year.
And that's because it's not man-made fluctuated or anything
Right.
like that.
Yeah, well, you don't have the big dams that slow water down and stuff like that. And the biology of the invasive carp requires so many river miles of flowing consistent water because their eggs tumble.
Yep.
And that's their process of fertilization and everything.
Yeah, because I remember Tim saying the planets almost have to line up for them to spawn in Tennessee.
Yeah, it would have to be a perfect situation for sure. But so yeah, we're seeing potentially a smaller number overall in our reservoirs, but every time Kentucky and Barkley locks open and allow a barge through, there's opportunity there for them to swim in.
I'm actually going to be there on Lake Barkley the week of the 4th of July. We're going to go up and
Okay.
maybe I can ski and not have one jump in my
Yeah,
jump in my face. So,
Absolutely, I hope not.
So what are some of the federal programs that's doing to help keep
Well-
the carp in check from coming to Tennessee or spreading?
So probably the biggest one outside of our incentive program is what we call the BAF. It's the bioacoustic fish fence. It's an experimental apparatus that was installed in the Barkley lock chamber. It combines underwater speakers and a bubble curtain along with some LED lights.
What's a bubble curtain?
It's basically compressed air sent down to the bottom in a tube or a pipe.
Okay.
And then small holes drilled into that tubing or pipe, and it just sends a bubble curtain.
So basically the bubbles is like a wall and it
A visual-
maybe scares the fish.
so it's just a deterrent.
That combined with the acoustic and the light.
Yeah, you've got all three working at the same time together.
So what is the acoustic? What kind of sound? Just curious.
They use, I think it's a 115 horse outboard running at a certain
Wow.
RPM.
Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, and there's been tons of science done on that, lab settings, and trying to fine tune it, trying to figure it out. But yeah, there's a certain decibel there that they just don't like.
And the lights are down in the water.
Down in the water to shine up. From my understanding, the main purpose of those is for safety. It shows you where the bath is at nighttime in particular, and it's also an indicator of if anything negatively has happened to the system itself, because it's mounted to the bottom. If they knock lights out, they more than likely have done more damage.
We're just curious on this. If you got the lights in the water, normally lights at night
Attract.
is going to attract basically the start of the food chain. So I wonder if those lights attract game fish.
I'm sure they do. Kentucky is doing their own separate survey as to whether or not some of our native fish are affected by the BAF system,
Yeah.
as far as the ones that need to biologically migrate through or anything like that. And so far, everything's showing to be non-effective to the sport fish and to the native fish that need that passage.
Because I know when we're doing night fishing shows for, trying to film, we'll use lights.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you attract a little bitty, the zooplankton, phytoplankton, they start eating everything, and little bitty pin minnows, and then next thing you know, you'll see a 20-pound striper come up through there.
Yeah.
So, I could see where that would, do that too. All right. So, okay, the market, where does these Asian carp go? Like for all these groups that are catching them in nets and selling them? Because I don't know how many commercial licenses or how many people's actually doing that.
I think the number that is in our teach-up program is in the teens.
Okay.
So it's not that many people, but they're at some nights of fishing they'll catch 8,000 pounds.
Oh yeah, you see those boats and
Yeah.
they're sitting on fish is the only way they can get back to the bank.
It takes a big
Absolutely.
boat.
Yes.
You start filling up a big boat quick.
Yep.
Absolutely. But so some of the stuff is agricultural products like fertilizer and stuff. Some of the byproducts go there. I know one of our teach-up markets has he's providing bait for lobster fishing up in the Northeast. But that same market has also developed a way to pull those floating Y bones out of the fillets, and he's actually hooked up with the cash savers and stuff in the local area. I don't know how big his
So like Cash Saver, that's basically a store. Where
yeah,
you can
a
go
grocery
buy them.
store,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But yeah, they're selling them by the pound in there, and their market is also open where you could just go to the market there in Paris and get them from them as well.
So
But
it's a boneless fillet.
it's a boneless fillet,
Pure white.
and pure white, flaky meat. It don't have that fishy flavor that some fish
Oh, man,
species.
that'd be.
It sounds good.
So
Yeah.
we've cooked we've
We
cooked
should
a lot of
have brought
pounds.
some fish.
I've heard of people, doing blackened fish with them.
Oh yeah, we've cooked them several different ways. Us just, we're going to kill any of them that we come across. Unless we do have some telemetry work that we're doing on them to try to get a better understanding of the movement
of 'em.
patterns, right? When they move, do the fish that we tag, do they school up, or are they together? We've had some pretty interesting returns. We've got a tagging project where we partner with TVA, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, USGS, that encompasses both the Cumberland River system and the Tennessee River system, where we go to Cheatham Reservoir every winter, and we go to Pickwick Reservoir on the Tennessee River system, and we try to put in somewhere between 100 and 125 transmitters into that number of fish. Mm-hmm. And we've got receivers mounted throughout all these waterways to detect movement. We, as an agency, have also started our own receiver project or transmitter project at Reelfoot, where we've got receivers throughout the lake, and we've got them upstream and downstream of the new spillway. And we tag some fish and leave them in the lake, and we tag some fish and translocate them below the spillway. We've tagged some fish or collected some fish below the spillway and tagged them and left them. And some of the movement patterns is just insane to see how far they'll swim.
That's what I was fixing to ask you. How far has it been documented that any has went that you know of?
Over 120 miles one way.
Wow.
And that's in the Tennessee River? Or?
Actually, that was a Reelfoot fish.
Really? It swam for 120 miles around there.
Yeah, it went over the spillway,
Okay.
down Reelfoot Running Bayou, down the Obion River, up the Mississippi, up the Ohio, pinged off of one of the receivers that the feds had out somewhere up past Paducah on the Ohio River, and then turned around and swam all the way back, and we pinged it again below the spillway.
Really? In what time frame?
It was about 4 months going and 4 months to return.
That is that about the furthest you've got so far?
Yeah, there was one fish that we tagged in Pickwick in Mississippi down by J.P. Coleman State Park. Mm-hmm. It locked through Pickwick, swam up to Kentucky Dam, pinged off of it, swam the canal, pinged off of Barkley Dam, swam back through the canal, and returned to. Matter of fact, returned to the very embayment that it was caught and tagged in.
Really?
Yeah.
So it went through all of those dams and everything.
Yeah.
So one thing about the Asian carp is going to be here since we have
Yes.
the reproduction in the Mississippi and Ohio. We're just
Absolutely.
trying to keep them from getting into other waters.
Yeah, the hope is eventually that systems like the BAF system that we're experimenting with now,
Fine tune it and get it.
fine tune it, pull up some money because they're very expensive
Yeah.
to purchase. They're
How,
very
how much are they? Just curious.
I'm not sure on the cost. It was bought through Kentucky dealt with that since Barkley Dam is in the state of
Yeah.
Kentucky. They had more of the dealings with that. But I've heard it's somewhere around $1 million in maintenance and operations for a year.
That just for one?
Yes.
Jeez.
Really?
But
And those, there are two of those that are set up dam to dam.
there's just one there now.
Okay.
There's just one of the three, the combo of the speakers and the bubble curtain and the LED lights. And it's on the downstream side of Barkley Dam.
Gotcha.
So anytime, I mean, it's on, well, the experiments were where they run them 7 days on, 7 days off. And then they would see if passage increased when it went off, and of course it did. And then they would see decreased movement whenever it was on. But the idea, our strategy is laid out something similar to leave that one at Barkley, hopefully, put one at Cheatham. And, you know, you're preventing, each time that you put one in, you're preventing further upstream migration.
Right.
Tennessee River would be the same way, where you would put one at Kentucky, one at Pickwick, one at Wilson, and then you're overall protecting all of your other reservoirs upstream from there.
How far up north have they been documented?
Oh, their map continues to grow. I mean, you know, Mississippi River is a huge river.
Oh, yeah.
And they swim the entire run of it and all of its tributaries.
Has any been in the Great Lakes that they know of?
I think there have been a few individual fish seen, maybe even dead, that were in the Great Lakes. But yeah, they've got that electronic barrier up there that
I knew they did up there.
that costs way more than
Yeah.
than the barriers like we have down here right now. And yeah, they're trying to save the Great Lakes still.
Well, wasn't the Asian carp, the reason they come to about is that big flood we had years ago, you know, in a lot of the places in Arkansas,
That's
and
what I
they
always
got out.
heard.
That's what I always heard
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, what we've got a carp page on our web page, and it was originated in Arkansas. It was an
Yeah.
aquaculture facility down
Because
there.
I know I used to go, you know, when I had to fly a lot, man, that one year, you couldn't see nothing but water once you
yeah.
got up there, you know, 28, 30,000 feet. You know, it was one of the, you know, called it a 500 or 1,000 year flood over there.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't go over this earlier, but is there any other invasive species that are sort of wreaking havoc or starting to wreak
What about
havoc?
snakehead?
Yeah, that's the one I was going to go to.
Okay, so the snakeheads are. So far, we haven't had a whole lot of issues with snakeheads.
Well, you have had some.
Yeah, there was one that got reported in an aquarium in Memphis, and that one was some of our guys went and got it, and
Because I know they're in Arkansas.
yeah, so yeah, they're in the Mississippi River,
Yeah.
and Arkansas spent over $1 million about 10 years ago and did this huge rope gnome project where they killed like 2 or 3 miles of one of the rivers where they knew they
Right,
were
yeah.
embedded, and went back a month after, and they were
They were there
They
again.
were there again.
Yeah.
But we get a lot of calls that, man, I got a snakehead. And the first thing I ask everybody is just send me a picture. Take a picture of it, send it in.
'Cause most of them are not snakeheads.
95% of them are bowfin.
That's right.
Because
Yeah.
that's the visual one that's closest to it.
And the bowfin depend, of course, we call them grinnell around here,
sure.
but depending on the water temperature, the water clarity, those things, you know, I've caught some that actually did favor a
Sure.
snakehead.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I knew they wasn't. But,
Right.
you know, you could just kind of tell.
A couple years ago, I got a call. It came through our regional office and said this guy thinks he's got a snakehead. I asked him to send me a picture, and the picture he sent, I knew it wasn't a snakehead, but I knew it wasn't a bowfin, and it wound up being an arapaima.
Really? From South America? Or?
South American fish.
Yep.
It was found dead on the shoreline of a 35-acre lake in Cordova.
Really?
I remember that.
So we're assuming it was an aquarium release. They probably got too big for their tank.
Those things get 7, 8 feet long.
8 feet long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
they-
one was 39 inches long, and partially decayed. I mean, it had been dead for a while, but I got that fish and it's in the freezer. So
It's almost like a combination
Well-
alligator gar, grinnell combo. Those are some bad days.
You know, in today's world of humans moving stuff, you know, you never know what's on the landscape or in the water out there.
No, it's like we
anymore.
had
It could
Rusty
be-
Bowles on here talking about the
You can
mountain
never-
lion that they just confiscated up in East Tennessee.
You
You
just
know?
never know what's out there.
yep, that's true.
As soon as you say it's not, it's going to show
Yeah.
up.
And I mean, I remember him saying that night, you know, you can go to South Carolina and buy venomous snakes all day long.
All day
you know?
long, yeah. Come straight across. You're in
Right.
Tennessee.
I know. It seems kind of weird. Well, like Bubba said, is there any other invasive species that, you know, I know it probably some smaller ones or.
You know,
Yeah.
we had the zebra mussels and all that, I guess.
Yeah, they came and went pretty much as quick as they got here. I mean, we had them for a full season, and then
Okay.
they never really came back very strong.
Yeah, because I remember there was a big PSA about that
Yeah.
one,
Sure.
zebra mussel. It still is, you know, in the books about them. But
Of course, hydrilla, you know,
Yeah.
some of your aquatic vegetations, they're invasives, but they're wanted.
yeah,
We're doing
by some people, I
by,
don't. But,
by some people. We're doing an angler attitude survey in addition to our normal agency survey, and my guys that run Kentucky Lake, that's the number one suggestion that they're getting out of most of the fishermen, and of course you know it's the bass guys.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
They're thinking about Gunnersville Lake.
Yeah,
you know,
when are
Or
you-
going with the grass.
Where's the
Yes.
grass? Where's
Yeah,
the grass?
right,
And
right.
it's just not feasibly possible. We would have to partner with TVA. They're probably not going to be on board with it. The few small projects, Kentucky did one in Western Kentucky a couple years ago. It failed. They've done some over in East Tennessee. Our guys have, and it didn't do any good. So if it's not here on its own,
we don't want to put it here
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's already a pretty bad track record of things that was brought in that
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
wish hadn't been brought in.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, you know, that covers most of what our concerns are, you know, with our waters that we deal with.
Any idea or how many years you think it might be for the Alabama bass just really is detrimental?
Well, it really depends on those genetics I've got sitting in my office right now. I don't know what it is. I don't. Yeah, until we get those sent off and get those results back, then I'll have an idea.
How long
Or
will it take
we
to get
will
those
have.
back?
Well, it just really depends on their workload. I know we've got 4 or 5 different projects where we're sending genetics to them, so I know they're behind. But you know, turnaround time's 3-4 months usually. I've talked to a couple people that are waiting on some stuff that's been a year, but there's also been some issues with just lost files, and they thought they sent it and they forgot, and it's been on their computer, and they'll kick it over to us or whatever. But yeah, I just got to get the green light on turning them in.
Okay. All right. What's the latest on alligator gar? I know there's restocked in the Hatchie River and all that. But about how many do you hear? I know that, you know, if somebody catches one in the same way with sturgeon, they you know, y'all like to know where it was caught at.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. The stocking program still exists. We still get, you know, it depends on hatchery success and rearing and everything.
And that's at both of those or just the alligator gar?
Alligator gar mainly.
Okay.
But yeah, we get some every year, and we're still trying to, you know, get them reintroduced.
Where, I mean, I know they're in the Hatchie. Are they in the Forked Deers and
Yeah,
O'Brien and stuff?
I think some have been put in other of the Mississippi tributaries.
Have you gotten much feedback on any of them? You know, if any, because I mean, a lot of people, they have no clue what an alligator gar is because they'll catch a, you know, just a regular long-nosed gar, spotted gar. You know, that's alligator gar.
Yeah.
But that the true alligator gar, you know, they're pretty rare actually to get
Sure,
caught.
absolutely. Most of the ones, unfortunately, that we do get that we can tell is an alligator gar are bow fishing. So
Oh, yeah. I
they,
see that.
you know, and then they're probably not doing it on purpose. They're just
Yeah.
out there bow
Right.
fishing. They see a big gar and they shoot it,
Yeah.
but it winds up being alligator gar.
Right.
So
All right, let me ask you: is that a ticket offense? I know by the book it is, but
Yeah.
I just
You can't
Just
harvest
curious.
alligator gar.
yeah, I know that's why I said that. That's what I was just wondering about.
I guess it'd be the totality of the circumstances here.
Yeah. How many? I mean, what's the biggest one that like been recorded since they've been turned back loose?
I'm
that
not,
you know of?
Yeah, I'm not real familiar with it. I've seen a couple on Facebook posts and stuff where they'd be 6-7 foot long.
From Tennessee?
Well, yeah, I think so.
Really?
Yeah. I know a few years ago we went to Open Lake and brought shocking boats, and that was our whole goal was to.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
you shocked up several?
Well, I think we may have shocked 2 or 3 up.
Now, do you think they come up from Mississippi, or was they introduced?
I'm pretty sure they were probably
Mississippi because of the way it floods.
Sure.
Yeah, cause okay, Janet, what you got?
Are they releasing any alligator snappers?
Boy, that's somebody else's question. I'm not sure.
At one time,
yes, but I don't know
Yes.
if they're still.
yeah.
I don't know if they're still doing that or
Yeah.
not. I'd have to keep.
Yeah, I know at one time they did release
Yes,
alligator
we did,
snappers.
but I'm not sure if the project's still going.
Right.
That's not in my realm of.
Yeah, and there again, that's another thing. Probably 95% of people don't know the difference from an alligator snapper to a common snapper.
No,
That's right.
You're
correct.
I mean, because it gets
Take your finger off. That's
well,
the
yeah,
only
both
thing
of them
I
do.
know.
Both of them do that. But I mean, I remember the time I was a kid. If you caught a snapper turtle, it was always an alligator snapper. But in reality, it's not an alligator snapper.
Right.
And you play with them and stick them and it's.
Yeah, you can
it's
see
bad.
how big a stick they could break in half and all that.
Absolutely.
Go in there, grab them, and start thinking
No,
about all
sure,
that
no,
stuff.
no.
Yeah,
The
did you
more I
start?
think about
Did you
this-
start what? Get
No.
back in the
But
boat.
I do want to say something kind of off tilt or off kilt to what the night show's been. For the adults watching this, and they had young people in high school and they're very active in the outdoors, they need to understand how cool of a job y'all really have.
Some things
and
are
hoping that watching all of this and learning all this may kind of persuade them to take on a biology or wildlife biology role. And
Every time we have people like y'all on there, Jeremy Dennison, he's been on here more than anybody. But yeah, I mean, it's just interesting stuff like that.
There.
it has to be a blast to do that. Most
We
of
saw,
the time.
we saw
So,
a young lady at the Highway 70 yard sale, and she's like, "I want to be a game warden." I was like, "Well, I've been one for 32 years." So
Hey,
I had a long conversation with her, so it was a good.
I know
good deal.
we're running out of time, but I got one more question. What about sturgeons?
Still stocking lake sturgeon in the Cumberland River system.
Is that the only one?
As far as I know, that's where all of our sampling efforts are going to see.
Because I know they are in the Mississippi River, because I know it was a guy caught one right out of Covington. He posted on Facebook a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure did.
Michael, appreciate you coming. Wealth of knowledge. I mean,
Absolutely.
Yes.
wealth of knowledge.
Thank y'all for the
We
invitation.
sure do. Hey, and appreciate all of our viewers and sponsors, and still, Bubba mentioned it. If anybody's got a subject y'all want us to address and try to find an expert in that field on the show, just let us know. Drop us a line on there, because I mean, we try to go through and look at all the comments, questions. Janet does that pretty much while we're doing the show, and she's behind the scenes and. She keeps us going up here.
People like Michael, they're true experts.
Yeah,
but
without a doubt.
True expert in what you do. And,
Also, boating season upon us.
Yes.
Safest boat you can be in is a drug-free, alcohol-free boat.
Yep.
Be safe
Absolutely.
out
Are we still at 14?
there.
Somewhere, I think.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. And really, some of the peak time hadn't even got here yet. That's what's saying.
It's fixing to really get warmer.
Yes,
It's
yes.
really
It
getting
sure
better.
is.
we're going
full
this
tip.
weekend, so.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Keith, you got anything else, brother?
No, look, just thank y'all for what y'all do.
Sign up for your quota hunts. Don't
Yep.
be like it was for the Chickasaw turkey hunts. Well, when do we sign up? Well, I'm telling you right now, for the deer, starting tomorrow through July 26th. Bubba, you got anything?
That's it.
Michael, appreciate you coming on, brother.
Thank y'all very much.
All right. We'll see y'all next week for another Tennessee Outside. Thanks.